Please feel free to watch the presentation that you are about to see over and over until you understand it. So if you take a look at this map, you've seen something like this in previous classes. Yep, you guessed it. It's from the mystery topography boxes, where you found the plateau, volcano, or mountain inside the box. If you remember, we connected points of similar elevation. This type of map also connects points of similar elevation. The type of map you just saw is called the topography map. It's useful because it allows us to show how elevation in the land changes. Lots of people can use this type of map. For example, hikers, bikers, skiers, and others find these maps especially useful to find the best spot for their activity. As you look at the following topography maps, keep the following information in mind. Index contour lines are heavier and bolded, and they are labeled with an elevation. For example, you can see that these are the index contour lines. They're a little bit thicker, and they all have a number on them. As opposed to index contour lines that have numbers that are labeled, the other lines are just called contour lines. These lines right here, the thinner lines, are the contour lines. Places with contour lines that are far apart have gentle slopes. So for example, this area in this section has a much gentler slope than those places that are close together. So here in the center, these would be a much steeper slope. In other words, the land's elevation rises quickly. The closer together the lines are, the more steep the mountain is. The more spread apart the two lines are, the more gentle the slope is. One of the skills related to topography maps is finding the unlabeled contour lines. The way that this is done is to find, first of all, the difference between one index contour and the next closest one. So if you recall, index contour lines are those lines in which they are labeled and bolded. So for example, we find the difference between the 200 and the 100. 200 minus 100 is 100. Then you count the spaces between the index contours. So there are 2 spaces. Finally, divide the difference found in step 1 by the number of spaces found in step 2. So, for example, we found out that the difference between 200 and 100 is 100. The number of spaces between the 2 index contours was 2. So we would simply take 100 and divide by 2, which is 50. That means each time you go up on the map, it goes up by 50, or if you go back the other way, down by 50. So for example, line B, which is found right here, or point B, which is found right here, is 50 up from the 100 mark. That means point B is 150 meters. Point A, if we look, is found between 200 and 300. Each time it increases by 50. That means point A is 250. Now it's your turn to try. Using the steps we previously discussed, please find points A and B for map 1. You will take a marker, go to a dry erase board, write the word map 1, A, and then calculate the point. Do the same for map 1B, then move on. Just as you did before, use your dry erase marker to figure out the points on map 2. This time make sure to label it map 2A and map 2B. Determine both locations. Don't forget that you are subtracting one index contour line from the one that is next to it, figuring out the difference, and then dividing by the number of spaces between the 2 index contour lines. Try one more map just to make sure that you understand. Notice that map 3 has points A, point B, and point C. Make sure that you complete all 3 points. Now that you're familiar with how a topographic map works, you're going to be creating your own tutorial. This must be done and explain everything. It has to include animation and narration about a hiker who has lost his or her dog at an unlabeled elevation on the map. You're free to choose whichever hiker you find and whichever dog. Include the following information to get the best score. First, you have to explain how to figure out the elevation at which the dog is lost. Then, explain how to figure out the distance between the hiker and his dog. Finally, choose a location on the map that he will have a gentle, or she will have a gentle or flat slope so that the hiker can rest with his dog or her dog. Explain how you can tell it's a gentle slope. Please feel free to ask questions. I'll be going around the room.